Going into Ragefest 2, the second contest, what did you kind of want to have changed, or what were you kind of expecting to be different?
Well, the main thing that happens is that every contest I refined the rules further and further. Ragefest 2, Ragefest 1 didn't really have rules. I was just like, just troll me, and if it's too shitty, I'll disqualify it. Ragefest 2, I started to like develop rules like, okay, you can't have Fog of War that's too small because, you know, the dog is adorable. Made it clear that some rules should be set. Ragefest 2 set the rules, and my expectations were, okay, now people understand what a good submission is for Ragefest. Like, something that will really get viewers watching, and something that I will enjoy, because it's so insufferably difficult and also entertaining for me. So, now people know what to do. I'm expecting 5 Matthew's Nightmares.
Well, and you've already missed on that count because there were only 4 submissions. The second Ragefest contest was held in 2011 and had less entrants than the first. Only 4 entries were submitted, making for a very small contest, especially with one disqualification that I will not hurt you by attempting to describe. The first submission to get a video was Prisoner of Darkness by Blazer, who is famous in the community for his hack, The Last Promise. Whether or not that sours your expectation is up to you. I don't know why it would. Prisoner of Darkness features a very exaggerated emo Wood fighting his own darkness. The entire map is black and involves several puzzles that have rather vague solutions. For example, the first puzzle is to find the tile that has enough avoid to let you avoid getting slaughtered, meaning you have to check every tile and watch the terrain indicator in the lower corner of the screen to see it. That's what we're dealing with here, and what's more, the tone here is very depressing and not all that funny.
A submission from Blazer that was pretty okay, but was extremely pretentious. Like, it's trying so hard to be artsy-fartsy, and it's just not working because there's no actual message or substance to it. You got Hyther 1, which was basically, he made Fido's Last Stand, which was an advertisement for some online Fire Emblem thing. Effie Lover 3, who made Curse of the Emblem version 0.001. He basically sent me the very first version of a hack he was working on. Like, it's clear that Effie Lover 3 never really took Ragefest seriously, except for in Ragefest 3, and that's coincidentally the one he won.
The second submission is Hi There Ones. This is his only non-disqualification. Yay! Don't expect that to happen again. His chapter is titled Feto's Last Stand. FETO stands for Fire Emblem Tactics Online. It was a browser-based multiplayer Fire Emblem thing, hosted on FE Planet. The decline in the game's activity serves as the inspiration for the writing. The chapter consists of a single bishop navigating a vast array of Bada clones whose inventories can't be checked, meaning you don't know until they attack whether they have a killer axe or a brave axe or whatever. There are many villages, but only one of them has the weapon needed to make the boss actually possible to kill, and even then, there is a decent chance that the player will simply get unlucky and fail to kill him entirely. The only thing funny about this is that the boss music is the hilariously inappropriate Lin Mode player face theme. Yeah, that about covers it.
And then there was your submission, Rondo of Madness, which was a fantastic submission. And part of me thinks it surpassed Matthew's Nightmare because it was so different and it was also just really good. But I don't know. Like, I'd have to replay it again because I think there were a lot of like moments where like nothing was going on. But either way, that was the standout submission of Ragefest 2. So instead of getting 5 Matthew's Nightmares, I got 1. And I was disappointed.
Which leaves the third and final submission. My submission. I returned for the second contest, and by virtue of making 1 or 2 good jokes, I guess, it turned out that I had the best submission in the contest. Very impressive, I'm sure. My submission was Rondo of Madness, which was titled after Castlevania Rondo of Blood. The writing in this submission can be summed up as I wrote whatever I was thinking about at that particular time, which leads to the player recruiting Yogi and Eagler and having them fight Theodore, who begins the chapter by one-shotting a neutral unit for over 500 damage, which Mark certainly took notice of.
I think my soldier is gonna die. Except not, because she survived. What the hell?! You must direct us to victory. Don't screw up. I'm sorry, but I'm currently laughing too much to actually be competent right now. Oh god, that was great. I applaud you, Ephraim. That was golden.
By the way, I took that weapon name and scene from a dream I had. No joke. That's the level of random you're looking at here. From there on, the map is styled after Fire Emblem 4, with castles that must be captured before ending with 10 bosses from throughout the series attacking the player in one final run. The map is wide and open with lots of goofy traps, stupid scenes, and shoutouts to other series, making it like the strategy game equivalent of a carnival. There's always something funny or stupid about to happen, usually stupid. This submission won the entire contest, and it's probably the highlight of my YouTube presence. However, I personally feel that this submission was the next step in Ragefest figuring out what it wanted to be. It takes another contest for that to be fully refined, however. Ragefest 3 took place in 2012. It's notable for several reasons. This was the first contest to accept submissions in FEXP, a Fire Emblem engine made in RPG Maker XP. Second, a surprise guest star submitted a chapter, Marky Joe 1990 himself. That's right, he entered his own contest, presumably to help convey what his image of a Ragefest chapter should be, but we'll get to that. This time around, there were 7 entrants with 2 disqualifications. Anyhow, let's start with the submission I know best. My own.
Wait, where am I?
You didn't load in yet.
I'm not a man. I did not think that was gonna happen.
It was asking you what your gender was.
I guess it already knew. Yeah, you're a male. If you say no, then you're transvestite. Wait.
I'm not as proud of this one as I pretend to be. It's a direct sequel to Rondo of Madness with a massive map that has 2 paths to choose from. Hint, don't go in the maze, it's terrible. I also decided to mess with players by making the assassin enemies invisible, and they walk on the walls for added surprises. The main gimmick of the map is that it features 3 characters from the Toho Project shoot-em-ups, which Mark and myself are fond of. Everyone who knows Mark knows he happens to really like the character Racin, so I hacked together the worst portrait in history so she could appear as an enemy and later a recruitable ally. Well, at least the traps are still funny and stupid like usual. One other submission features Racin, so I'm not really sure if I'm the first to do this, but featuring Racin certainly became a tradition past this point. It sure annoys Mark when we use her the wrong way, so that's a good thing.
You also had Bullet Hell Madness, which was a good submission and possibly better than Rondo of Madness, but it felt like more of the same, I guess. I don't know why that submission in particular didn't leave as much of an impact on me, because looking at it objectively, it did a lot of things better than Rondo of Madness. There was Mark's Special Day, which is, if I remember right, that's like the 3rd most viewed submission on my YouTube. So, yeah, it had a huge impact. It's I think 3rd or 4th most viewed video ever on my channel. You have all these submissions that are meeting these meeting higher quality standards, but just kind of missed the mark ever so slightly. Even I, with my submission, this was the first contest where I entered, I was like, alright, I'm going to show people exactly what I'm looking for in this contest. I'm going to make Corruption of Roy, which is an extremely dark and not funny submission about Roy going insane and you having to fucking murder him. Yeah, that definitely fits the spirit of Ragefest. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? But yeah, I at the time, my ego was huge, and I was so convinced that I was going to be the one to show people the way. Like, it was that kind of, like, God complex shit. And even I missed the mark. Like, my submission was probably one of the hardest submissions ever submitted to Ragefest. But it wasn't especially funny. The writing was terrible, and the gameplay, while difficult, was excruciating. Holy shit.
Now, surely you must be curious about Mark's own submission. This one is interesting, besides the fact that it's Mark entering his own contest, because he actually doesn't seem to look back on it as fondly as I do. It's unfortunate because it was pretty high quality in its day, with a decently in-depth storyline to go with the goofy traps and dumb jokes. The story is set after the events of Binding Blade, and it seems Roy has gone completely mad and is invading all of Lycia and capturing princesses for shiggles. Sophia, his wife in this continuity, wakes up in a Faerie prison just as Catherine breaks her out and tells her all this, and the two must now move through the castle, carefully taking out soldiers and not opening any instant death chests, while recruiting the other captured girls, ultimately defeating Roy. Roy states that Eliwood had pushed his training to the limit in the days leading up to the war with Byrne to ensure that he'd win, which unfortunately broke Roy's psyche and made him go crazy after the war was already over anyways. Maybe this plot is a little strange after all, but it was quite a lot for a simple Ragefest submission. Mark even composed his own music for it. I honestly don't think Mark gives himself enough credit for that. Anyways, next we have the two FEXP submissions. First is Generic War by Clockinator. True to its name, it's long and doesn't really motivate the player to move all that quickly, resulting in a map that can be taken as slow as you want. This isn't helped by FEXP itself, which despite its advantages in the video and audio departments, really struggles when it comes to moving units quickly. Seriously, the engine is slow. Maybe I'm too used to having emulator turbo, but it's still slower to play than the GBA games on their original hardware. Oh, and if you turn off the animations to save time, Nosferatu-type weapons lose their draining effect. So, when it came time for Ragefest 3, like, what were you intending to kind of happen this time around?
Honestly, I don't remember too much about Ragefest 3. All I know is that, like, the standards were raising, and finally, you know, people were starting to catch on. Like, I feel like in Ragefest 2, only you kind of caught on to what I was looking for in a Ragefest submission. Ragefest 3, I feel like almost everybody, like, tried to reach that level of quality that Matthew's Nightmare had, and I'd say a good number of them succeeded, but they weren't quite as standout as Matthew's Nightmare, because usually they were, like, good in areas that didn't matter. Like, for example, I'd say that Clockinator's submission, Generic War, it had a really nice-looking map, it had excellent presentation, excellent music, it had all these cool portraits and cool animations, and it did all these fancy things with FEXP, but it just wasn't fun to play, and the writing was not that funny. It really felt like Clockinator was trying to be funny, but I didn't quite understand how to do that. Though I did like the Mario Paint music.
Fortunately, the other FEXP submission, Ponage Kirby's F.exe, more than made up for the slow gameplay inherent in its engine with a really interesting submission gimmick. Any dice roll with at least a 1% chance of success, including critical hits, always works. Along with Toho music and characters, My Little Pony jokes, and a finale that gave Mark the best finisher ever, F.exe cemented itself as one of the most noteworthy submissions, and it's not even the contest winner.
F.exe from Ragefest 3. That was a pretty tough submission, and again, it's another submission that gets so close to the quality that we were expecting, like the standard that was set by Matthew's Nightmare, but just barely missed the mark.
This is the first contest where you personally became a character in several people's submissions.
Oh yeah, Ragefest 3 was the start of like
The Marky
Ragefest
Joe canon.
Yeah, it was sort of the start of the Marky Joe canon. It was also the start of like Ragefest becoming self-referential.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I guess we'd call the Marky Joe canon or the Ragefest canon. I showed up in submissions, and a lot of these submissions ended up inspiring Ragefest 4 and 5 submissions.
And this was also the first time where characters like Racin and Sophia started to become commonplace. Because let's be real here, they include those characters because you like them so much.
I don't even like Sophia that much, but Racin I like a lot, but everybody depicts her fucking wrong, or doesn't really, like, make me care about her. So it, like, whenever they do something bad to her, it never has the impact that they intend it to have. Okay. What the fuck is that? Oh my god! Oh, calm down, Mark. Natural reaction from me. Oh.
Effie Lover 3's chapter, Mark's Special Day. Effie Lover 3 is another hacker who entered all 3 contests and got disqualified twice, and now he wins the contest well, it was funny. I think what wins it here is the entertainment factor. Mark's reactions. Okay, fine, I got nothing. Oh, hold on. This is the first submission to have Mark himself as a playable unit. And the very, very disturbing Sophia portrait, it's a sight to behold. But, yeah.
Has an impressive collection of last place trophies. Oh, that is beautiful.